Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are back doing some test hands. Um, Figured it has been a little while since I've put out some content, and this felt like it was going to be the easiest thing right now. The deck that we are running tonight is Canine Memento. If you guys have been watching the channel for a little bit, I was playing Fiendsmith Memento at our YCS kitchen table a couple weeks ago, and I really like that build because of the consistency, but I wanted to do some test hands with Canine because that really increases the ceiling of the deck, just because you are able to get in a Ripper and other rank 5s with pretty much any Memento combo, I think. Pretty short. Um, but we are getting to our first really big milestone of 100 subscribers. And so I wanted to do a little giveaway for that once we eventually hit that. As you can see, and if you've been watching the channel, you've probably seen my playmats and their cool, unique little styles showcasing different decks that I have played. This mat is brand new. My wife made it for me. It's showing different decks that I've played for the last year or so. So this deck, or this mat, is showcasing, you have the Malice girls, you have the Yummy gang, and then you also have some Draco Tail um, guys hanging around as well. You've probably seen my other mats here. Well, I guess I can show you. I'll move this out of the way. This was my first mat on this side, featuring Dark World and the Albaz team. And then on this side over here was last year's mat, which featured Dia Bellstar, some Snake Eye guys, and Voiceless Voice, and also Fiendsmith. But once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to do a giveaway where my wife will design you a playmat. We won't print it out, that will have to be up to you, but we'll let you submit some cards that you really enjoy, and then my wife will throw a little playmat together for you, and then you can take that to whatever playmat printing thing that you want and print it out. But yeah, that'll be our 100 subscriber giveaway. We might also throw something else in. We're at, I think, 89 or 90 right now, so it's coming up. Anyways, we'll just kind of jump right into the old test hand video here. We'll just do a quick little cut after shuffling for a while, and then we'll just go out with our first 5 here. So first 5, we have a pretty interesting hand, right? So we got Dark Blade, we got Fusion, Horn Dragon, and Sleepy. So Sleepy, the nice thing about Sleepy is, we can make some plays right off the bat with that. But we are going to start with Dark Blade here. We're going to normal summon the Dark Blade, and then we will use the Dark Blade effect to destroy a Memento monster we control, and then summon a level 3 or lower. So the nice thing about Dark Blade is it's basically just the Anguish combo, but it gives you an extra name. So we're going to search for an Anguish. We're going to summon out Anguish. And then we will go Anguish effect to add a Memento monster. And we're going to add the Tatsuno Otoshigo, however you say it, the seahorse guy. And then because we control only Memento monsters, we will activate its effect to summon from hand. That is an activated effect, so it does trigger your opponent's canine stuff, unfortunately. But we'll go from there. This is where it kind of gets a little bit awkward, right? Because we have Sleepy in hand. So we technically could activate its effect to summon it out and fuse from there. But we'll keep playing the line here, see if we can draw out some interruptions. here, but we'll go Tatsuno Otoshigo. Eventually, I forgot how to say it. Its effect, we will pop itself to summon out, or to send 5 levels worth of stuff. So we're going to send Goblin, a Mine Goblin, a... let's see, we'll also send Mace here. That's the typical line. And then typically we would send Sleepy, right? So that's 1, 2, and then that. We'll just send another Anguish here for funsies. So that'll be 5, right? Your other lines here, you could also, there is an argument for sending Gaddock, right? But it doesn't really make a ton of sense since we did normal summon the Darkblade. We'll go there. And the nice thing here now is if we get interrupted on the Anguish, we still have Sleepy, but we also have the fusion that we opened up with. So we'll go Anguish effect, we'll target the Mace. It'll pop itself and then summon out the Mace. And then we will go Mace effect to pop and add. We have a fusion in hand. What we'll do, because we can get to Bone Party really easily, we're just gonna go with we'll add a, you know what, we'll add Bone Party for funsie there. Okay, now from here, we're going to hold on to the Horn Dragon. I am playing Horn Dragon in this, even though you don't really necessarily need it. But we will just go Fusion here. And then, the important thing is we're going to keep the Seahorse guy in the grave. But we are going to shuffle back an Anguish, a Mace, and then we will also shuffle back... I guess we could just even do the Anguish there, because the big guy just says you need Memento names, not necessarily different Memento monsters, right? So it's 3 Memento monsters. So we're going to shuffle back these 3. You want to leave the Seahorse guy in the grave, because that will be one of your summon backs. We'll shuffle those guys back and summon out the big one. That'll go there, and then we'll go Creation King effect. Here we're going to send a copy of himself, because he's going to be what gets us into our field spell. And then we're going to want to send our Akihiron, because that's going to be one of the level 5s that we'll eventually use to summon back. Send an Akihiron, so that's 1, 2, and then from here we will also send... We can send Gaddock, and then we can add the fusion back, but I don't love that, because we do want to keep the fusion in the graveyard to summon it back. But the Gaddock can be a way to keep playing. So we'll send those 3. Right, and then instead of summoning back the... Oh yeah, we'll summon back the Gaddock. So we'll go Gaddock effect summon, but we won't use his effect to add. And then from here we'll go Creation King effect will banish itself, and then we will add us the field spell. Add Miklon. Then we will go ahead and activate Miklon. Right? Because then we'll go... We can use fusion right here to pop. But what we'll actually do is we're going to go Sleepy. We're going to use Sleepy effect to summon. And then on summon we'll go Sleepy effect. We'll send these 2 to the grave to summon out the the Twin Dragon. And then from here we can go Twin Dragon. We're going to go ahead and pop the Sleepy here. We could pop itself, but we also have the fusion in graveyard already. And so... the fusion's going to be what pops this to get us some extension. But when we pop the Sleepy, we get to add. And here it is going to be important that we add a level 5. And then we can add Mace for the next turn as well. Right, we have to add it at level 5 because eventually we're going to go into Ripper. Ripper's going to add us Jokul. And then we're going to need something to be able to summon it back. So, there's that. On a new chain, because Sleepy was destroyed, it's going to activate to send a Memento card, I believe. Yeah, Memento card from deck. And this is where we send the big guy, combined creation. Okay. And now from here, we are, so every time you destroy something, right, Miklon's gonna, once per turn, it can summon something back that's lower level. But we're not gonna have to worry about that quite yet. So what we'll do is we will go with Fusion. Fusion effect will banish itself, and we're gonna pop the Twin Dragon here. That is gonna give us a way to get into a Bone Party, right? Or if you're running the other traps or whatever, you can also have that. We're just gonna add Fusion for simplicity's sake. Not that we necessarily need that. That'll be something, right? So now from here, I'll do a little fan here. We have some triggers, right? Because Twin Dragon was destroyed, we will use his effect to summon a level 6 or lower, right? And then you'd also have Akihiron, and you also have Miklon as well to be able to summon back. So what we can do here, we can, we'll go Twin Dragon, effect to summon, as Chainlink 1, go Akihiron, Chainlink 2, and then we'll go Miklon, targeting Twin Dragon to summon something lower than it, as Chainlink 3. Okay? So we're going to summon back the Goblin, because that's going to be able to let us get into some more plays. And then we are going to summon out a Tatsunoto, Shigo off of the Twin Dragon, and then Akihiron is going to summon itself back. And that might have been out of order, but that's okay, because our opponent doesn't know what we're doing anyways. Okay, now from here, we have some options, right? Because we have a fusion, we don't necessarily need to pop the Akihiron, but that can give us the fusion back, but it can also give us the Creation King, just in case we need to fuse that off later, right? So, what we're going to do, just so that way we can fill the graveyard a little bit more. I didn't even test for glares before I started filming, so if there's a glare, bear with me. You guys have heard the joke where they're like talking about some guy being held hostage by a bear, and he says, "Bear with me," as if it's like a code, and he just says it a bunch of times to try to get someone to rest. Anyways, Goblin effect, we'll pop the Akihiron. That's going to let us send 2 cards from the deck to the grave. We'll send an Anguish, right, because we don't have Anguish yet, or anymore. And then we will also just send a... This lets us deck thin a little bit. But we'll, we don't want to send a Zebra, right, because we can summon it off of Bone Party here. But we will just go ahead and send a... we'll just send another Anguish. Let's call that good. Right, because, oh, with different names. Whoops. Alright, fine. We will send a Bone Party. Now, from here, we can go Bone Party. We'll pop the Goblin. Fine Goblin. And then we're going to summon back the... We're going to summon out a Zebra. Oops. Go back. Okay. So, we pop the Akihiron, right, to send 2 from the Goblin. And then we're going to go Akihiron effect. We're going to target the fusions, place them back, right? Because we already have fusion in hand, we don't really need to add that back to hand. Sometimes it's nice to have 2 just in case you're going to get popped. You're expecting, one of them to get destroyed. But we don't necessarily need to worry about that, okay? And then we'll go Bone Party, pop the Goblin, summon out the Seahorse. That goes to grave. We'll get that back later from the field spell. Right, and then from here, we now can overlay. This is going to let us get into our Ripper, Hardly Knower. Right, We'll go Ripper effect, detach to add a canine card. We will add Jokul, right? So this is where it's really important that we have a level 5 in hand. Clean this up a little bit. We'll go Ripper there. And then we will go Jokul, revealing Tatsunoto Shigo to summon. And then we'll go Jokul effect to add us a lantern, right? Now, from here, typically the line would be take these two, go into an SP, so that way you can protect your big guy from getting banished. Yeah, you can do that. But in this build, I am also running a Masquerena and the Gorgon for funsies, right? So basically, you just need to get the Jokul off the field here. So we're going to link these two away for an IP Masquerena, right? And then we can go Lantern effect, targeting Jokul. We'll summon both these guys. And then we'll go Lantern effect to add a K9 spell, which is going to give us the Case for K9. And then we will go ahead and activate Case for K9, which will let us add some more follow-up. We're going to add the Azuna, right? And then from here, we can overlay into another rank 5, right? And so in this build, I'm running a pretty hefty Nash Knight package. I don't play the C104 because I don't have that money. But we can go into Valen here. That's nice. But also, you can go into the Nash Knight. We're going to go to Valen just in case they have some sort of board breaker, right? And that way, eventually, if they interact clear our field, we can still go Azuna, Lupus, and then overlay for Nash Knight and have a good set of form of interruptions there. Right, so that's still going to be in our hand. That's on the field. Just move these guys up a little bit. Right, now from here, we can now summon off some things. Because we have 3, we can summon out the Horned Dragon. Right, and that's going to give us... Some people don't play this because you don't really need this for extension because you're typically searching out the seahorse guy from the twin dragon or whatever. I like it because it does add a pretty good interruption into your opponent's board, right? Popping 2 is pretty big. So we're going to summon him out, and then we will shuffle some stuff back, right? So this is where it kind of gets tricky. We're going to shuffle back him, we'll shuffle back a Goblin, we'll shuffle back a Anguish, we'll shuffle back the Twin Dragon because we'll want to make that on our opponent's turn, and then we're also going to shuffle back Gadget, right? We're going to leave Sleep in the graveyard because we can summon it back and fuse off of that. But we want to leave the Akihuron engraved. We could shuffle back the Tatsunoto, but we already are shuffling that. The Dark Blade can also be, some back row pop as well. But that is the 5 we're going to shuffle back. Gaddock, Twin Dragon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll shuffle those back and then summon out the big guy. Here we go. And then it's almost, if you're going into game 2 or game 3, right, where you might be expecting some board wipe stuff, you could summon a lot of your guys in defense mode, just so that way, you play around a Lightning Storm in that regard. But we don't respect Lightning Storm because we're good players. So we're going to play everything in attack position. And then we'll set the Memento Fusion, and then we'll set the Super Poly, and then we'll go to end phase, where Miklon will then set a Bone Party for us. And that is going to be where that first hand ends, right? And so we have quite a bit of follow-up there. And that was, again, off of just one card opening the Horned Dragon, right? And then we've thinned out the deck quite a bit. We are playing 45. Was surprised not to see a ton of hand traps, but I built this the other day, and I don't remember if I threw in a bunch of hand traps or not. But we can talk about how this will play out, right? Super Poly is going to be pretty good just to clear off their board, right? In this build, we are playing Mud Dragon, and we're playing Garuda, right? So that's going to be pretty good there. Fortunately, Izuna's going to be in play, Mace is going to be in play, but if we are able to get into the Twin Dragon, right, off of either Sleepy or off of Memento Fusion, going into Guardian Chimera or something, we're going to be able to draw what we need for the Super Poly to pop, or to use it, right? So, interruption-wise here, we have the Ripper Negate. That is going to be 1. We'll just count the interruptions, right? So we got Ripper Negate is 1. Boop. We got Valen to book. That's 2. And then we have Combined Creation. Effect will summon out the Creation King, which will be another interruption, right? And then we have Creation King, which will pop itself. And you can even pop the Horned Dragon as well, right? To destroy a card on the field. So that's going to be 4 interruptions. And then from here, right, Miklon or Akihiron will activate its effect, depending on what you want to do. We're going to go Akihiron to summon itself out. And then that gives us 2 more pops, right? Your opponent keeps doing some stuff, and then we're going to go Bone Party. We're going to pop the Horned Dragon. That's going to let us add whatever we need, right? Goblin's going to be good, or if you want follow-up, you can add Anguish. We're going to add Goblin, and then so that's going to be another interruption there. And then we can go Horned Dragon effect, right? Because it was destroyed, we can target 3 cards on the field. So Akihiron will be 1, 2 more cards on your opponent's field, right? So if they're trying to set up a rank play or a link play or a synchro play, that's where you will want to pop this, right? So we're going to pop the Akihiron, pop that. So that's going to be 6 interruptions, right? And then, because Akihiron was popped, we can add a Memento card from our graveyard to hand. And so what we can do is we can add Sleepy back to hand from the Akihiron. Alright. Yep. So we'll add Sleepy back to hand. And then from here, we can go Sleepy effect, summon itself out. That's going to be our 7th interruption. And then Sleepy can fuse. We can just take these 2. Goblin, summon out our Twin Dragon. Right, and now from here we can go Twin Dragon effect, pop itself, to add us some fodder. Right, we could add a Goblin because that has an effect, and then let's just add Anguish as well. Right, and then Twin Dragon effect, because it was destroyed, we can summon out a level 6 or lower if we need to. Let's just do Darkblade, right? Let's say they have something. Darkblade can then discard, let's just say, Anguish to destroy a trap. So that will be 8. And then from here, right, because we control Creation King, we can discard Mace, snatch steal one of their cards. We'll take that. And then from here, we can go Memento Fusion, right? We can fuse off their 2 guys plus the Goblin and go into a Guardian Chimera. So that was a steal, and that was a fuse, and that was a pop. So that's 10 interruptions there. We will pop 2, draw 1. Let's just take a random card here, stick that there, and then throw that away because that's there. Depending on how things go, we want to try to clear things up, right? So we can then go Masquerena effect. if we need a big booty guy, you know, we can keep the Chimera there. We can send the Valen off, and that's going to give us a pop their set or whatever. So let's just kind of clear the board so we have space for the Azuna. We'll just use the Valen, the Ripper, the Masquerena, right? That's going to be a link 3. We're going to go into a Gorgon, which is going, and then you can, nice thing is you can decide which place you want to put it, so that way it blocks out those 3 zones, right? There's that, and then we're going to get a pop from the Valen to pop a face down, and then what we can do is we can go Super Poly, send off the Fusion, blow up their board depending on what they have, right? And there's an argument for doing the Super Poly into the Garura, sending the Garura, get another draw off that. But let's just say we go into a dragon. Right, there's that. That's going to be 13th Interruption. And then we'll go Zuna, summon out Zuna, Zuna effect. We'll send a Jokul, or not a Jokul, the other guy. The Lupus. Lupus effect, summon it out. We'll overlay into our Nash Knight. The Nash Knight's effect, we can detach these 2, and then we'll steal one of their guys, and then we will put down, we'll put the 101 down, because we played the other 101, which, you know, has that effect that if it's destroyed, it can come back, and we, I think it gains attack, or burns, or something like that, another interruption, right? We'll put that in the card that we steal from them, under that, there, and then we still hadn't used the Miklon revive either, so that is quite the play. That would be, you know, 14 interruptions. And so, like I said, the canine stuff really increases the ceiling of this deck up until, you know, you go into game 2 and they just evenly match you for your entire house and all your life savings. But anyways, that is one card combo of the Dark Knight, or the Dark Blade, or whatever it's called. So we will shuffle this up and maybe do another test hand, because that, well, I guess that was 27 minutes. We'll do one more. Why not? Right? It's been a while. So we'll just do a quick little pile shuffle here. So, like I said, once we hit 100 subscribers, I will put the time and effort into figuring out how to do a giveaway. We'll probably do a video where you comment or whatever, then I'll find a comment picker, and that will find out who will get a mat designed by my lovely wife, who has made my mats every year, which has been great. It's always fun. It's nice because I'm able to kind of see the decks, and it's kind of a little bit of like a year in review of the decks that I've played. Pot of Greed, or not Pot of Greed, Pot of Prosperity has made an appearance in, I think, every one of my mats, because I started playing this game back right as Rarity Collection 1. It was coming out. I came in during AGOV, and Rarity 1 was the first box of packs I ever bought, and my wife helped me open them, and that was the one card that we were looking for, and that's one of the cards that she recognizes, and so it shows up in all our mats, right? So, let's see. I'll show you. So this one, it's somewhere. It's on the far side. They're both on the far side. I really like. I wish I could show you. I don't want to move my mats. One of them has a Pot of Prosperity being held by a Diviner, and two pots are broken, representing the limit there. Okay. One more test hand for the road. 2, 3, 4, 5. Watch it just be bricks, and then I'll just be able to finish. Well, there's a super poly. Well, that is a hand, right? The super polys are gonna be pretty good there, but obviously our line of play is gonna be the Tatsuno Doshigo. So we'll go its effect to summon itself out. Assuming that we don't eat an imperm here, we'll go its effect, will destroy itself. And then we're going to send the Gaddock, and then we will send Sleepy. Right? Well, you could also just go Gaddock. No, let's go Gaddock, and I believe the line is Sleepy. There is an argument, right? Because we didn't do our normal summon. You can do Anguish instead of Sleepy, right? And then you add this, summon it out, and then it'll add Sleepy from there, and then you can fuse all three off, right? Let's do that line. I feel like that line's going to be a little bit better in the longer run. So we'll send these two, right? Because they're both equal level 5. Send Gaddock effect because it was sent by a Memento monster effect. We'll summon. Its effect will target the Anguish. We'll add the Anguish back to hand. Then we'll go normal summon Anguish, right? If we get impermed here at all, we have fusion to back us up, which is actually really nice. We'll go Anguish effect, add the Sleepy, and we will go Sleepy effect, summon, and then we'll fuse. What we'll actually do instead of going, let's see. Yeah, let's actually go into the Twin Dragon here. We'll fuse off these two, just so that way we can get the Sleepy pop early. We'll go Twin Dragon, and we'll go Twin Dragon effect. We'll pop the Sleepy because that's going to let us send. And Twin Dragon's going to let us add. Right, so we have a zebra, a seahorse in the graveyard, but we want one there. And then we also are going to just add we'll add an extender. We'll add the Horn Dragon as well. Right? And now because Sleepy was popped on a new chain, we'll go Sleepy effect. That's going to go ahead and dump us the combined creation. Right, now from here, we can go. We don't want to use him as fusion material, right? Because we want to keep him. We want to be able to pop him. So we're going to use Memento Fusion. We're going to fuse off using 3 names. Right, we're going to keep this guy in hand. We could use him, right? Send him to the graveyard. Let's do that. For that, and then we'll put back the Gaddock, and we'll put back the Sleepy. Now we'll leave the Sleepy because we want him. We'll send back these two. Right, send him to the grave. And we will summon out the Creation King. Then we'll go Creation King effect. We'll dump itself, right? Because that's going to be our Miklon line. We need to send the Akihiron for sure. Right? Let's see where we're at. Right, so we sent 1, 2. We need a third one. We can send the Mace, right? Because we will get a summon back, and then Mace is going to be able to get us into whatever spell that we need. There we go. And then from here, no triggers, right? We're going to go Miklon effect. We can banish him from the graveyard as cost to add a field spell, which we will go ahead and do. Add the field spell. Alright, now from here, we can then go Fusion effect. We will pop the Twin Dragon because this is going to get us a revive. This is also, the field spell is going to get us another revive, and then the Akihiron's also going to get us a revive. We will go ahead and add a Bone Party. Full Teeth. We'll go Twin Dragon, Chainlink 1. Chainlink 2, Miklon targeting the Twin Dragon. And then we will go Akihiron effect. So we'll go Akihiron, summon. We'll go Mace, summon. And then we'll just go Sleepy, summon as well. Nope, let's summon out the Tatsuno Shigo. Okay? Great. Now from here, we haven't used the mace's effect, right? So we can then go mace effect. Well, we don't really need to add anything here, but the bone party is going to add us back to fusion. So we will go bone party. We will pop the Aki here. Right, and then we're going to summon out a this guy, and then Aki Huron effect is going to add this back to hand, and then from here, this is where we could eat a nib, but that's honestly not going to matter a ton. Because we have the combined creation yet? Yes, we do. Okay, great. Yeah, so eating a nib here is not going to be the end of the world. Alright, because then we'll go from here. We'll just go straight into our Ripper. Go into Ripper, we'll go Ripper Detach to add a Jokel. Now this is where it gets interesting because we have a bunch of bodies on board, right? Because we eventually need to get the Jokel in the graveyard. So from here, what we can do just to clear some bodies off, right? We'll go Mace effect. Just pop. Yeah, we'll pop the Mace here, and then we're gonna add a. We have fusion, we have bone party, we'll just add another. We'll add bone party. For funsies. Right? And then from here, we can go Jokel, reveal Tatsunoto Shigo to summon. We'll go Jokel effect. Don't want to forget that. That would be bad. We'll add the lantern. And then we can link these guys off into a IP Masquerena. Right, there's an argument where you can also just link those two, the mace and this guy, off into the SP, but that will be okay. I mean, you could even go. Do we play the cross sheep line on this? We don't play cross sheep, so we're not gonna worry about that. We'll go lantern, target the Jokel, summon these guys back, and then we'll go lantern effect to add some a case for canine. Overlay for we'll just go into the Valon here. El Sky Blaster. We'll go case for canine. Add us a Azuna for more stuff. And then you could keep the bone party in the hand just because we have the bone party in the graveyard. To add it back, right? Just so that way we have some fodder for the super polys. Kind of just depends on how badly you want 2 super polys. Honestly, I mean, we play two targets, right? The swamp and the Garura. So you could go into 2 of them, but it really just kind of depends on if you know what your opponent's going to play, right? With Yummy, definitely both of these are going to come up. Well, pure Yummy. Mitsu, I guess Mitsu could also come up where you fuse off the 2 ritual guys, and then you can fuse off the Yummies, right? So, anyways, lost my train of thought. We'll set 4 impads, right? 1, 2, 3. We'll keep this in hand so that way we have some fodder. Then we have the 4th one. There's our set. Oh, oops, go back. Oh shoot, go back. We gotta summon out the big guy, right? So we're gonna go Twin Dragon, go Sleepy, we'll go Zebra, Mace, and then we'll also, I guess, just have to do the Horned Dragon here, since we have the Creation King already on the field, which is unfortunate. There's probably a better way to clear that off, right? But now we don't have to use his effect to summon it out. So that's that. And this will be a reset for us. So we just set 5 because we opened 2 of these, right? Then we have fodder here. Eventually, if we get into the Guardian Chimera, we're going to have fodder, or if we go into the Twin Dragon, we'll also have stuff to discard. But I will not play this hand out because it's very similar to what we had last time, right? This guy's gonna pop itself, summon, Akihiron comes back. We don't have the triple pop from the Horn Dragon, but we still have, Zuna in hand. The double Super Poly is going to go super hard. And then we still have access into an SP if we need to banish like the Yummy Field spell or whatever, or if we want to just negate and have a big body on the field, we have the Gorgon as well. Alright, so that will be it for tonight. Again, thank you for watching. Sorry it's been a little while since I've really put out content consistently. I'm hoping to be able to get to some locals again. But yeah, this is shaping up to be a deck that I really enjoyed. I really like Memento just because it's nice. It's a nice combo heavy deck, and I just have always resonated with that. We'll call that good there for tonight. And like I said, once we get to 100, we keep an eye out for the giveaway stuff. But yeah, again, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!